I want to start by saying that I, 25, don't have the best relationship with my mom. I have an older sister and growing up my mom always tended to control me and tried to override any decisions I make, saying that I was young and naive and she always knew better. I cut contact with her for a few months after she tried to get involved in my marriage. My husband and I have been together for 3 years and he has always been telling me to be more gentle with my mom. I had a miscarriage a few days ago. It's devastating and I really thought it'll get easier, but I'm still feeling excruciating pain and frustration. We were happy and excited, but all that disappeared suddenly and it was hard for me to take because I thought everything was fine. I didn't tell anyone, especially since I'm currently dealing with some health issues. I didn't tell anyone in the family. My husband promised not to tell until I'm ready. My mom kept asking me questions and brought up my pregnancy constantly and my answers were short. Because I didn't want her to know, since she'd call everybody and let them know. She's always like this, that's why I tend to keep things private. I decided to not visit for a couple of days, hoping she'd stop asking questions. Then I found out on Facebook that my mom announced my miscarriage on her page, and I didn't know about that. I was shocked. I freaked out when I started getting calls from family members, and I have no idea how many people knew about it. I was so mad to the point of shaking. Everyone kept berating me for not telling them. I called my mom and I yelled at her. She defended herself, saying that she was just looking for support and that I should have told her about it the first time she asked what was wrong. I asked her who told her and she said she had a talk with my doctor, but I shouldn't be mad because she's my mom and she had the right to know what's going on. I argued with her about getting involved in my personal life and disregarding my feelings and cutting me off guard like that. I went to the doctor and I lashed out at her for releasing my private medical information to my mom and causing me to deal with everyone, asking why I was hiding my miscarriage from them, even though I was just waiting for the right time. I told my doctor that I was going to file a complaint against her the same day since she didn't respect my privacy and decided to give my mom information about my medical records. My mom heard and started berating me, saying it wasn't the doctor's fault and that she was a friend of hers she knew years ago, but I didn't know about it. She said that I went too far and acted like my family were strangers. She said that she's my mom and I didn't need to overreact like that. All I needed was time and space. Now I have to deal with all this stress and I'm a mess right now. My brother texted me a few minutes ago and said he wants to come over and talk to me. He was the first to call me and berated me and said that I was being hostile towards everyone for no reason. I haven't replied to his text yet, but I don't want to see anyone right now. I can't take one more word from them. Not the idiot. I could have written this post. I haven't had the exact situation, but my mother has said so many of these things to me. That she's my mother, so deserves my private information, that I owe it to her to tell her everything about my pregnancy, that she needs support when something goes wrong with me. I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. I cut my mother out of my life once I realized things were only going to get a million times worse, once she would be trying to control my future children as well. It was the best decision I ever made, but super difficult for my partner to accept. Not the idiot. This was a huge violation of both law and medical ethics. The doctor should be reported, if only to make sure she does not this to someone else. Along with the doc, the other idiot is your mom. She had no right to get your information, much less to share it publicly. I would suggest cutting contact again, this time for good. It says it all that when she found out her reaction was not to try to comfort or support you, but to run to Facebook to gather sympathy for herself. Not the idiot at all. Your mother is an idiot for so many incredibly obvious reasons. The doctor was also an idiot, and what she did was a huge violation of privacy laws. You should report her. God only knows what she'll tell someone the next time she decides to open her big mouth and break doctor-patient confidentiality. What she did was illegal and there should be consequences for it. Also, I'm so very sorry for your loss. Please take the time and space you need away from these awful people to grieve as you need to and to heal. So, bit of backstory. A friend and I are into scale model building, and a company we both like recently shut down, and because the models are so good, people started buying as much as possible. This led to a high demand on eBay, so that's currently a war zone. Anywho, I noticed a kit I wanted to buy at an auction. Already at a high price, around $140, and I decided to bid on it. I kept being outbid by someone's max bid, which means that regardless of the amount I set, someone max bid was automatically putting in a bid that would beat mine for a couple dollars, but instead of creating an automatic bid, I was doing it manually. I wanted to see how far I'd have to pay to beat this guy. It went all the way up to $200, and that's when I called it quits. I'd just wait for another one and hope for better luck. Frustrated, I talked to my friend about how crazy the prices were and how I was bidding on this one item, but at $200 it was crazy. Well, turns out my friend was bidding on it too, and he was pissed because he now has to pay $200 for the item and said I shouldn't be bidding if I had no intent to buy, and how I've completely freaked him over now. I told him I did have intent to buy up until 200, but it's not my problem. He set a higher bid than what he actually wanted to pay, and that's on him. Later, he sent me another message saying how he was even more pissed because another seller uploaded the same item at a much lower buy now price and he couldn't retract his bid anymore. This is where I know I may have been the idiot, but I just said oh cool, thanks for the heads up, buying it now. By the way, good luck explaining to your wife about spending $200 on a model kit, and now he is twice pissed at me. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Not even close to being an idiot. You were fairly bidding on the item you intended to buy and decided $200 was too much and decided to stop there, and you had every right to do so. There was no malice involved, it's eBay, you can't put in a max bid and then be shocked when someone tries to outbid you. He F''d up I put in a max bid he didn't actually want to pay, and that's on him, not you. And now he's forced to pay for that item, so you might as well go ahead and buy the cheaper one that just got listed. Not the idiot. That's the way the cookie crumbles, my friend. If you and your friend were smarter, you'd use a service like Gixin. Why show that you have an interest to buy? Just pick a price you're willing to live with. Then snipe it in at the last 3 seconds. If you win, you win. If you don't, it's more than you were willing to spend. But guess what, if you bid early, you give someone else the opportunity to raise price. Change your mind, then hell it, kill off the snipe. Someone outbids you early on, get an email and decide if you want to continue. Not the idiot. That's how eBay works. You put in your max bid as whatever the maximum amount you'd feel comfortable paying. If he didn't feel comfortable paying $200, he shouldn't have put that bid in. If you hadn't bid on it, someone else might have done, and then who would he be crying to? I've done this where I've kept bidding with someone else's max bid and I've lost sometimes and I've won sometimes. The other person can't get mad at you for their decision. The thing you said at the end was an idiot move, though. My sister-in-law and I are both about 8 months pregnant, being just a few weeks apart. I've had a complicated pregnancy, so I went on an extended leave from work, leaving me at home much of the day. I watch my brother and sister-in-law's daughter frequently and free of charge, usually at a last moment's notice. Their daughter, 9, is a very sweet and intelligent girl. She's very curious and inquisitive, to the point of even being nosy and sometimes snarky or judgmental. She will interrupt a conversation between adults to ask a question about the conversation or input her opinion. This can sometimes be frustrating, but she's never reprimanded for it and always obliged. I still had my Christmas tree up on the 3rd of this month, and she walked into the house without greeting, saying "You're lazy auntie, why is your tree up?" She's overheard me paying a bill on the phone, and as soon as I hung up she asked who was that on the phone. "Why did you pay your bill late?" I grew up kind of old-fashioned. I would have been told it was rude to ask those kind of questions and better to stay in a child's place. My beliefs aside, I always patiently answer her questions and let her wedge herself into my personal business. Yesterday, I caught her watching YouTube on her phone, which is strictly a no-no mandated by her parents. When I asked her why she would do that, she said, "Well, they watch YouTube, so I should be able to watch it." I explained that they were adults and she was a child, therefore they don't have to abide by the same rules. She doesn't seem to understand that she is a child and not equal to an adult. On to the issue today. At around 8 a.m., her mother texted me asking to watch their daughter at noon because they have a prenatal appointment for an ultrasound and don't want to leave her sitting in the waiting room for 2 hours. I expressed that I have an appointment with my attorney at 1 p.m. Her mom said, "Oh, it's fine, you can just let her wait in the waiting room." I suggested that they allow their daughter to go to the appointment with them, and instead of her waiting in the waiting room, she'd be able to see the ultrasound and hear the baby, etc. My sister-in-law said she doesn't want their daughter in the ultrasound room because she will interrupt and just be her normal, snarky self. My appointment is only about an hour or so, but I feel like if her parents don't want to be subjected to her behavior, they need to adjust it and not pawn her off on me. Am I the idiot for refusing to take her to my appointment? Not the idiot. Why are you even questioning this? You have an appointment. You're busy. Enough said. Tell them no, that won't work for me. And that's it. Don't explain why, or offer reasons, or compare why one waiting room is better than the other, blah blah. Just know, that won't work for me. Change the subject or end the call if they continue to harangue you. She's not your child. She's their responsibility. I would hope they don't expect to dump her on you when they have their baby. They sound incredibly entitled and rude. Everyone's the idiot here. First of all, her parents make no sense for wanting her to be waiting in a law office waiting room instead of a medical waiting room. It's like, someone get this kid a regular sitter. Let her snark about some teenager's life. Second of all, OP sounds kind of like a 9-year-old is saying things I don't like, and here I am trapped and scared, and what do I even do? If she's being treated like an adult, then just be straight up with her and say, none of your business, kid. Right now, OP sounds like another 9-year-old. Not the idiot for no. You are the idiot for not having boundaries. Stop answering questions from your niece that you feel are inappropriate. A simple "that's inappropriate" niece. I'm not answering that. And next time you're asked to babysit and you aren't free or don't want to, the answer is I'm not available. When they follow up with why I'm not available is why. If they keep pushing, fall back to "that's inappropriate." I'm not answering that. You're participating in them, having a lack of respect for your time and boundaries. I started working at an office at the beginning of this year. Once a month, the company has $100 donut day. At the beginning of the month, they select someone to spend $100 on assorted donuts from Dunkin' for the entire building to enjoy. They've been doing this since the company was made, but originally the owner bought the donuts for his employees. I was picked this month. I don't like donuts at all, and I also don't have the money to throw $100 around for something like donuts. I get paid a crappy amount per hour, and $100 is more than I make in an entire day's work. I have a family to feed and bills to pay. When I was selected, I told my boss I couldn't afford throwing money at snack foods right now. I mean, let's be honest, I never eat donuts from other people anyway, so it's not like I owe anyone back, though I didn't tell him that. Boss kept trying to convince me, but I kept saying I couldn't. He eventually said, fine, be that way. It'll be sorted. And told me to get out of his office. Donut day comes around on the 15th, and there were no donuts. All my coworkers were and still are pissed at me, and my boss made it a point to blame me or bring it up every day since then. I've repeatedly tried explaining my situation, but nobody seems to care. Apparently, it's my duty as an employee to be a team player and make sacrifices for my coworkers. A lot of my coworkers are either ignoring me or making negative comments about me. Boss made a cryptic comment about my upcoming paycheck, so I told him if he takes money out of my paycheck or lowers my pay rate, I'm suing. Other coworkers heard this and are saying I'm the one being a jerk here and to just back down and suffer through it. Am I actually the idiot here? Only thing I can think of is the fact that I threatened to sue my boss or that I didn't warn my coworkers first, only my boss. Not the idiot. It's a stupid tradition to pick someone at random and let that include the only part-time worker. If it was random selection of a vice president level officer or partner at a big company, that's a different story. Though I will say, your distaste for donuts doesn't really change anything about the situation. It's just gonna make you sound weirdly anti-donut. I knew you were in the right here, and even I had to check my initial reaction of what's wrong with this guy. Donuts are awesome. So just stick to the point that this is an unfair financial burden. Not the idiot. You didn't just not buy them, you explained why to your boss. He should have taken that on board, realized other people likely faced the same issue and escalated, so the policy got refined to be only management buy or the company pays or something. At the least, he should have covered you. I can see why those people who paid up when they couldn't afford it might be miffed, but this is something that needs to change in the company for the better of all those who aren't on the kind of money that they can afford $100. Not the idiot. The tradition was for the owner to buy donuts for everyone, not some random low-wage earner who isn't even working full-time. They need to make upper management buy them or stop a tradition, which was broken the moment someone other than the owner was expected to buy. Expecting you to buy seems almost predatory. I have never worked a job where I would be willing to spend $100 on getting something for my coworkers. I think the most I have ever spent is around $30, and even that made me feel sick. Don't spend the money on a pointless ceremony if you're not comfortable. My girlfriend and I both work in tech. She's a safety validator for software, working at a consulting firm, and I'm doing network infrastructure support. When we both worked in different offices, I didn't know much about her day-to-day life at work. I knew she made a lot more than me, $120K to my $66K, and she credits a lot of that to job hopping. She's 25 and has had 3 full-time jobs since college. I've been at one place since college. But since we've been working from home, I've seen a lot of her daily schedule. And hers versus mine are really different. She gets up at 9:15 to drag herself into the home office for her 9:30 to 10 daily meeting. After the meeting she goes and showers and has breakfast from about 10 to 10:45, answering a few Slack messages and emails on her phone, but mostly just listening to podcasts and eating and doing her morning routine. Then she works till noon and takes a lunch break from noon till 1. Then she works from 1 to 4, often having meetings or working on her own stuff. And at 4 will spend an hour or so doing household chores and stuff while keeping an eye on her phone to answer emails. And outside of 9 to 5 she blocks work-related messages from her phone. So basically she actually works about 4.5 hours daily and does her own thing for about 2 hours, just paying enough attention to reply to emails that come in. I basically work non-stop 8.30 to 5 or 6 p.m., working 8.5 to 9.5 hours a day. I don't take breaks in the workday to shower or eat breakfast and lunch or do household chores. And a few weeks ago I got kinda frustrated with her for basically hardly doing anything for her job at all. And that they were overpaying her if she was spending half the day slacking. She got frustrated with me and said that they hired her for her knowledge, and it wasn't my place to say what her time was worth, that if her boss and CEO saw the work she produced and chose to pay her what they chose to pay her, that it wasn't my place to undervalue her because I was being jealous. And that she picked her job instead of one that might pay better because she wanted a good work-life balance. She was sick of wasting her life away at work that was a lot more demanding. I said that she was being a little privileged. Not a lot of people can just choose to make 6 figures and wander off from work for practically half the day, and that all I was saying was that she was working half as hard as a lot of people who earn a lot less. She got mad at me and said that it's not up to me to decide what her time is worth. Am I the idiot for what I said about my girlfriend's work ethic? You're the idiot. Sorry, but your girlfriend is right. It isn't your place to say whether her pay is warranted, that's between her and her boss. I understand why you would feel jealous, heck, I'm jealous. But she didn't ask your opinion, and her salary isn't coming out of your pocket. You're right that she's got a good gig going and that she's privileged, but maybe try just being supportive and glad for her excellent negotiation skills and industry knowledge. You're the idiot. She's lucky, that is true, but don't say she doesn't work as hard as you. The perception that you work more hours means you work harder is what you are thinking is completely stupid. Her employers pay her what she is worth, and the fact she has the job at all means that her work is of value. You completely undervalued her work and you expect that since she has a better work-life balance than you deserve more than her. No. You are jealous OP that she actually doesn't get stress from her job. You're the idiot. She gets her work done in the time allotted, and as long as she's doing her work as required, regardless if it takes 4 hours instead of 8 hours. That's her job. If you get paid X amount for working 8 hours and someone working the same amount of hours, but in a more manual labor, cleaning, construction, etc., is what you do sitting at a desk less valid because it is seen as not working as physically hard as them? You're jealous and that's valid, but you shouldn't take it out or bring it up to your girlfriend.